The dueling grounds of Arcanum 9 always smelled faintly of ionized dust and overcooked machinery, a combination that made visitors sneeze in 7 different languages. The human warrior, whose name no one here bothered to pronounce correctly, stood in the center of the arena with the calm expression of someone waiting for public transport, not a life-or-death confrontation. Around him, the air shimmered with the low hum of containment shields, ready to prevent the usual, accidental atmospheric ruptures that happened whenever alien fighters got too dramatic. Across from him, the alien woman strolled into view with theatrical confidence. She looked almost human, tall and graceful, her hair braided in metallic blue strands that hummed with faint energy. But her long ears, sleek, elegant, and expressive, made her species unmistakable. They twitched as she assessed him, first in amusement, then pity, then amusement again. "This won't take long," she said, stretching lazily as if beginning a morning exercise routine. "Try not to fall apart too quickly. Your species is fragile, like wet cardboard." The human scratched his cheek. "You've fought cardboard before." She paused, ears flicking. "Not the point." Massive drones hovered overhead, recording the scene from several angles, occasionally beeping and bumping into each other because their collision avoidance update had been delayed 3 centuries. A nearby drone emitted a tinny announcement in 6 dialects. "Begin duel. Try not to die. Medical assistance is available but not recommended." The alien woman drew her pulse blade in one smooth motion, its plasma edge glowing a dangerous violet. She pointed it at him with a flourish clearly rehearsed. He lifted his own weapon, less glowing, less elegant, more found in a discount survival kit, and gave it an experimental swing. The drone above them made a distressed beep, as if embarrassed on his behalf. "You're very calm for someone about to be sliced," she said, circling him with light, liquid steps. Gravity bent subtly under her feet, pebbles lifting and swirling in her wake like obedient dancers. "Are all humans this relaxed, or is something wrong with your brain?" "Possibly both," he replied. "But mostly, it's because you telegraphed your first move about 15 seconds ago." She blinked, then lunged. Her strike, sharp and precise, cut through the air where his shoulder had been. He slid aside with surprising ease, leaving her momentarily off balance. She recovered instantly, long ears twitching in disbelief. "That was luck." He shrugged. "That's what they all say." She attacked again, faster this time. Sparks burst around them as weapons clashed, and sand scattered upward in magnetic arcs, forming glittering spirals that refracted the arena lights. She moved like flowing energy. He moved like someone who had survived too many bar fights on too many planets. Each time she thought she had him cornered, he dodged with a subtle sidestep or a quick duck, muttering things like, "Careful, your foot's doing that angry tapping again," which only made her more irritated. "You joke too much," she snapped, swinging with a force that made the ground ripple. "This is a duel." "I know," he said. "I'm just trying to make sure we both have a good time." "No one has a good time in combat." "Maybe that's why your people look so stressed." Her ears shot straight upward in offense. A malfunctioning drone buzzed erratically above them, dropping a shower of static sparks. One spark landed on her ear, and she flinched with a sharp hiss, shooting the drone a murderous glare. It backed away with a nervous beep. The human tried to hide a smile, failed, and she narrowed her eyes at him. "Oh, you think that's funny?" "A little." She swung at him again, but now there was a hint of laughter in her breath, like her pride had been nudged but not wounded. Their weapons met with a loud crackle, sending a pulse through the containment shield. A voice from the control booth muttered, "If they break the shield again, I'm not fixing it," followed by a chorus of agreement. The alien woman pressed the attack, her gravitational steps deepening. Pebbles rose, sand rippled, and the air trembled around her. She expected panic, but he simply kept moving, adjusting instinctively, treating her reality-bending technique like an inconvenient breeze. This only unsettled her more. "How are you doing that?" she asked mid-strike. "Doing what?" "Not panicking. It's a hobby." They locked weapons again, so close she could see the reflection of her own irritated expression in his visor. Her ears relaxed slightly, curiosity slipping past her confidence. "You're different," she said. "Thank you," he replied. I try. That wasn't a compliment. I'll take it anyway. She pushed off him, landing lightly, ears flicking in a mix of calculation and reluctant amusement. For the first time, her stance shifted, not in aggression, but in respect. The human rotated his wrist, loosening the stiffness in his weapon arm, and gave her a small nod that said, "Ready when you are." The duel pressed on, but with a new rhythm, a slow realization threading between their strikes that something unexpected was unraveling. The crowd felt it. The drones felt it. Even the containment barriers hummed differently, as if sensing that the fight had become something more than a contest. When the chapter's moment closed, it was on a scene of sparks, swirling sand, and two figures locked in a dance neither had planned. One amused, one astonished, both discovering that strength could be far more surprising than either had believed. The alien woman was no longer smiling, but her long ears betrayed everything she wanted to hide. They twitched forward in sharp focus, then backward in irritation, then sideways in a flicker of something she would never admit was admiration. The human, meanwhile, was adjusting the fit of his glove again, as if they were about to start a friendly game, rather than continue a duel that had already generated enough sparks to power a small moon. She inhaled slowly, recalibrating her gravitational field. A soft violet shimmer rippled beneath her feet, spreading outward in concentric rings that lifted pebbles and twisted the air into spirals. The ground responded like a living thing, bending to her will. "Round two," she said, tone cool, steady, and only a little offended. "And this time, I won't underestimate someone whose species can't metabolize fluorescent fruit." "We can metabolize it," he said. "We just shouldn't." Same thing. She moved first, blur fast, a streak of motion. The human barely slipped aside before a gravitational pulse hammered the spot where he had been standing, leaving a perfect crater that made the observing drones collectively beep in alarm. One drone displayed a bright red alert. "Arena damage detected. Cost will be deducted from," then glitched and reset itself. "You're faster than before," he said, hopping over a patch of swirling sand she had weaponized into a miniature vortex. "I'm taking you seriously now." Should I be honored or terrified? Both. She leapt again, and gravity obeyed her with giddy enthusiasm. Her long ears angled forward like targeting sensors as she twisted midair, slashing downward with her pulse blade. The human ducked, rolled, and accidentally clipped the leg of a low-hovering drone, sending it spinning away like a confused metal seagull. The drone wailed and zipped off to recharge its dignity. The alien woman landed perfectly, despite her annoyance. "You hit the drone." "He hit me first. Drones do hit." He tried. Her lips twitched before she could stop them. With a flick of her wrist, she altered gravity again, pulling the human off balance for the first time. He stumbled forward, arms pinwheeling, and only narrowly avoided smashing face first into the arena floor. A small audience in the stands gasped in 7 different languages, and somewhere a vendor shouted, "Gravity-proof popcorn. 50% off before someone dies." The human regained his footing, shook the sand from his sleeves, and said, "Okay, that one was impressive." "Only okay," she growled. "Fine, very impressive, 11 out of 10 would fall again." She almost laughed. Almost. But her pride wasn't ready to surrender humor so easily. She increased her gravitational pressure, sending shimmering waves under her feet that distorted the terrain. Pressure lines rippled toward him like invisible snakes. The human responded by triggering the stabilizer built into his suit, a compact device that hummed to life and counterbalanced the gravitational force. It didn't neutralize it completely, but it kept him anchored enough to move. Her eyes widened. "Your suit, it's compensating." "A little. That's cheating. It's engineering. That still counts as cheating. It counts as not getting flattened." She lunged again, quicker than before. Her blade cut a bright arc through the air and would have sliced through a column of stabilized sand had the human not grabbed a terrain stabilizer node nearby and yanked it free. The stabilizer sputtered violently, an unpredictable cube known for malfunctions, and before either of them could react, it shot upward and exploded in a burst of anti-grav energy. Both fighters were launched backward with comedic lack of elegance. The alien woman flipped involuntarily, landing in an undignified heap with her long ears sprawled sideways like startled wings. The human skidded across the sand on his back, groaning. A drone drifted nearby and displayed the message. That was not in the rulebook. The human sat up first. "You okay?" She pushed her hair out of her face, ears snapping upright. "I meant to do that." "You meant to crash into the ground." "Yes, it was a tactical, grounding maneuver." "Sure." She picked herself up with exaggerated dignity, dusting off her glowing braids. "You laugh too much. You give me reasons, too." She opened her mouth to retort, but something in the human's stance stopped her. He wasn't mocking her. Not really. He was relaxed, unafraid, treating her like an equal, something she wasn't used to. Her people fought with precision, superiority, and a certain coldness. Humor was alien. She tilted her head. "Why do you keep joking even when you could be overwhelmed?" He shrugged lightly. "Fear's loud, humor's louder." "That's illogical." "Welcome to humanity." A soft chuckle escaped her before she could smother it, and one of her ears folded backward in a gesture of reluctant amusement. The human smiled, noticing. She quickly straightened her stance and raised her blade again, as if pretending the moment hadn't happened. "Don't get the wrong idea," she said. "I still plan to win." I'd expect nothing less. Their duel resumed, less hostile now, more curious, almost playful beneath the sparks and gravitational distortions. Every strike told a story, and every dodge wrote a new one. She tested him with shifting gravity, bending the terrain into ramps and pits. He countered with clever footwork, improvisation, and pure stubborn resilience. They collided once, spun apart, collided again, and at one point both tripped over the same half-buried stabilizer, crashing into each other with a surprised yelp. They landed in a tangle of limbs and sand. For a brief second she lay sprawled across him, ears flattened against her head. They stared at each other in stunned silence. "This is not how a duel is supposed to go," she muttered. "No," he agreed, "but it's definitely memorable." She scrambled up, cheeks flushed, ears twitching wildly. "We speak of this to no one." "Of course," he said, "our secret." She hesitated, staring at him more deeply than before, as if assessing not his strength but something else entirely. Something unfamiliar, something unsettling. Then she stepped back, raised her blade, and whispered, "Again." And he answered, "Again," standing ready. As the chapter closed, the duel's shape had changed entirely. Not a battle for dominance, but a strange, electric conversation in motion. Both fighters learning the other's rhythm and discovering that neither was anything like they had expected. Neither fighter moved at first. The air between them shimmered with dust, light, and the shared understanding that the duel could no longer return to what it had been. The alien woman stood straighter, long ears angled forward in a mixture of focus, and something gentler, something almost impossible for a warrior bred for flawless superiority. The human lifted his blade not in challenge but invitation, the faint smile on his face hinting he already knew something she was only beginning to understand. She struck first, because that was what she knew. But this time, when her blade arced toward him, the movement wasn't driven by arrogance or the need to prove her species, greatness. It was driven by curiosity, by the need to discover the full spectrum of someone she had underestimated. The human met her strike cleanly, matching her rhythm with astonishing precision. Their clash ignited a cascade of sparks that drifted like fireflies through the thin gravity of Arcanum 9. "You're holding back," she said as their blades locked. "You're smiling," he answered. She wasn't, of course, absolutely not, except she was. Her ears gave her away again, folding back in flustered betrayal. She disengaged abruptly, sweeping her hand across the ground. Gravitational waves surged beneath her feet, carving the arena floor into shifting ridges and swirling dust devils. The human adjusted his stance, activating his suit's stabilizer, which hummed lightly in response. Instead of fighting the distortion, he moved with it, using its rhythm as if they were dancing through a storm. "You adapt too easily," she muttered, switching directions mid-leap. "You throw too much gravity around," he replied. "Kind of rude, honestly." "Rude, I'm trying to crush you." "Exactly." Her laughter slipped out in a startled burst. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't controlled. It was genuine, and that startled her even more than any of his dodges had. The drones above, confused by the sudden warmth in the clash, projected analysis displays that contradicted themselves every second. One announced, "Combatants are displaying cooperative tendencies." Another argued, "Negative. Combatants are swinging weapons at each other." A third simply drifted slowly in a circle, overwhelmed by the emotional nuance. She landed a gravitational push strong enough to warp the dust into a spiraling tower. He leapt through it, barely missing the edge of her blade. When he stumbled slightly upon landing, she instinctively reached out, catching his wrist before he fell. It lasted only a moment, just long enough for her to realize she hadn't needed to do that. Long enough for him to see the surprise in her expression. "You're helping me now?" he asked softly. She released him, ears shooting upright. Reflex, a mistake. Didn't feel like a mistake. Then your feelings are wrong. Maybe. There was no mockery in his voice. That unsettled her more than any counterattack could. She steadied herself, lifting her blade again, but something in her posture had changed. Her strikes grew slower, more deliberate, as though searching for answers instead of victory. His parries softened, shifting from defense to conversation. The duel became something else entirely, a dance of understanding layered beneath flashing lights and drifting sand. Finally, she stepped back, lowering her weapon. Her chest rose and fell with the exertion of someone who was not used to feeling conflicted in combat. He lowered his blade too, not triumphantly, not cautiously, but calmly. "You could have ended the fight earlier," she said. "Why didn't you?" "Didn't feel like the right ending." "To what?" "This," he said simply, gesturing between them. Her long ears slowly folded back, not in irritation this time, but in recognition. She had begun the duel believing humans were predictable, fragile beings barely worth noticing. But here he stood, not only matching her strength but reshaping what strength meant. He was resilient in a way she could not measure with gravity or speed or skill. He made her rethink the foundations of everything she'd been taught. She exhaled, the tension slipping from her shoulders like sand. "You changed the duel. You changed me first." She blinked at that. "How?" "You made me realize I didn't have to fight like everyone expected. I could fight my way. I could choose what kind of warrior I wanted to be." Her thoughts spiraled in unfamiliar directions. No one had ever spoken to her like that, not as an opponent, or a rival, or a superior, but as someone who could be changed and could change others. A distant voice crackled across the arena broadcast system. "Is the duel over? If so, please sign Form 43B for damage costs." Another voice added, "Please also note that Arcanum 9 is not responsible for emotional revelations during combat." She sighed. "Your world is strange." He grinned. "You should see our traffic laws." Her laugh came easier this time. She stepped closer, her long ears dipping in a gesture of sincerity. "Human, I misjudged you." "I know." She glared half-heartedly. "You don't have to accept that so quickly. I'll pretend I didn't hear it." "Good." A silence settled between them. Not awkward, not tense, but full of something new, something forming quietly beneath shared bruises and dusty air. She extended her hand. He took it without hesitation. The drones immediately documented the gesture with excessive enthusiasm, projecting a glowing caption. "Duel resolved, mutual respect achieved." One drone even released celebratory confetti made of recycled admission tickets. She groaned. "Your machines are ridiculous. They learn from us. That explains everything." They walked out of the arena side by side, her